Okay.
The person who's calling from phone number ending in 1148, can you please identify yourself? You can press *6 to unmute, and then please say your name. Phone number ending in 1148. Please press *6 and unmute so we can hear your name.
Hi, this is Maurice Cox. Can I be heard?
Yes, Commissioner.
Yes.
I thought you were already in the meeting at the, but you're here with 2 devices?
Yeah, I mean, I'm using my phone for the microphone and my laptop for the screen.
Okay, no problem. Then I'll just leave you unmuted, and you can just press *6 to mute yourself and *6 again if you want to unmute.
Okay, and when exactly are we going live? What time?
We are live right now. I started live streaming just because there were some Zoom issues earlier in the day, so wanted to make sure it's good. So live streaming is happening right now.
Oh, but when is the chair going to start the meeting?
Sure, it's going to start at this moment, Commissioner. According to my watch, it is 1 p.m.
It's 12:55, but okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the September 8th regular meeting of the Community Development Commission of Chicago. I am Shirley Newsom, the Vice Chairman of the CDC, and I will be hosting today's virtual meeting. Our Chairman Perez was unable to attend today's meeting. Due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, an in-person meeting would not have been practical or prudent today. Therefore, in accordance with the Commission's emergency rules, this meeting is being held virtually on Zoom and can be viewed live via the Commission's website. A court reporter is present today to record the proceedings. Commissioners, you have all been designated as panelists, which means that you will be able to control your microphone. Please remember to place your microphone on mute unless you need to speak. If you want to be recognized by the chair, please activate the raise your hand feature and you will be called in order. I ask that you please state your name at the time you pose a question or comment for the benefit of our court reporter. The agenda for this meeting was posted on September the 3rd, both online at the CDC's website and physically in City Hall. At this time, I will begin by calling the roll. I'm asking commissioners, when your name is called, please turn your microphone on, respond by saying present, and please indicate that you can hear me okay. Secretary Butler.
Present, and Commissioner Newsom, I just wanted to let you know that according to my computer, we started the meeting at 12:55 p.m. and it's now 12:57 p.m. So we started, a few minutes early, just for the record.
All right, my watch is off.
So noted in the record.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Brooks. Commissioner Buford. Commissioner Cepeda.
Here.
Commissioner Cox.
Here. And I can hear you.
Thank you. Commissioner Curtis.
Yes, here, and I hear you fine.
Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Griggs.
Present.
Commissioner Rhodes. Commissioner Thomas.
Present, and I can hear you.
Commissioner Wheat. Commissioner Perez is absent and Commissioner Newsom is present for the record.
And
Thank
Commissioner Davis is here. Can you hear me now?
Commissioner Davis is here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We have a quorum for the purpose of conducting business. And so at this time, the public was given an opportunity to provide written comments up to 24 hours prior to the start of this meeting through the CDC's email address at cdc@cityofchicago.org. There were no written comments provided by the public. The CDC's emergency rules require that any member of the public wishing to comment on an agenda item could do so by registering in advance at the CDC's email mailbox up to 24 hours before the start of today's meeting. Since no registrations were received by that deadline, no public comment will be heard at today's meeting. The first order of business for today, according to our agenda, requests the approval of the minutes of the August 11 CDC meeting. Commissioners, you have had an opportunity to review the minutes, and if there are no corrections, then I will look for a motion to approve. What I am asking is that commissioners please note that the attendance indicates certain commissioners were not present at the time of roll call, but because there were comments made by those commissioners later in the meeting, I ask that you correct the minutes if you were in fact present for the record. Commissioners?
We have a motion to correct minute or to approve minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second, Commissioner Butler.
Okay,
Who was first?
I think their microphone was not on.
Okay, so then Commissioner Butler will make the motion to approve minutes.
Okay, is
Chairman.
there a
This is Dwight Curtis, and I was at the meeting last time.
Thank you, Commissioner Curtis. Minutes will note that Commissioner Curtis was present at the August 11th, 2020 meeting.
Actually, this is Commissioner Butler. If you look at the revised minutes that were sent out, it does show that Commissioner Curtis was present during the meeting.
Thank you.
And
okay.
so just for clarification, because I know several minutes were sent, who we're showing as not being present in the revised minutes for the meeting of August 11th is Commissioner Cox, Commissioner Griggs, and Commissioner Wheat.
Okay. According to the record, there are comments that were made by Commissioner Griggs and Commissioner Wheat. Were they in fact in attendance at the meeting? Okay. Then the minutes will be approved with the necessary correction. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried.
Excuse me, this is the court reporter, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
As I recall, I think you have to take a voice vote on all votes.
Yes, that's correct. We have to do a roll call vote.
Just a reminder. And who is that speaking? Because you've spoken before. Is that Mr.?
This is Bob McKenna.
Okay, Bob, could you announce your name? Because when you speak, I didn't know who that was. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Thank you all.
Okay. I am going to, at this time, ask for a vote on the minutes with the necessary correction. Secretary Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks. Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Abstain.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Curtis.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Griggs.
I abstain. I was not present.
Okay. Commissioner Rhodes.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Wheat. The motion passes. At this time, we will proceed with our agenda. Item number 1 is the Roosevelt Cicero Development Project Area, Ward 24. At this time, it is being requested of the commission by the Department of Planning to seek authority to advise and issue a request for proposals for the purchase and redevelopment of property located at 4300 West Roosevelt Road and 4301 West 5th Avenue in the Roosevelt Cicero TIF redevelopment project area. Ethan Lassiter will present the staff report on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development. Mr. Lassiter.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you, Commissioners. Good afternoon. My name is Ethan Lassiter, City Planner with DPD's West Region Planning Team, presenting this request to authorize advertisement and issuance of a request for proposals for the Roosevelt and Costner site. The site, as formally listed, is 4300 West Roosevelt Road and 4301 West 5th Avenue, entirely within the 24th Ward, represented by Alderman Scott, in the North Lawndale community area. As stated, the project site is within the Roosevelt Cicero TIF and the Roosevelt Cicero Industrial Corridor. The RFP site is shown in the upper northwest corner of the North Lawndale community area, as presented on screen. The site is made up of entirely vacant land, formerly industrial land, totaling almost 21 acres, the south property being slightly larger than the north property. Both the north and south properties have underlying planned development districts. There are 25 pins or parcels making up the site, 3 in the north property and 22 on the south property. The development site as shown here in an aerial and shown on the ground from street view from Costner and from 5th Avenue. So there's been numerous proposals for the site, including a previous RDA. That land sale RDA with milestone requirements was unable to be met by the developers that we were engaged in that project with. So Alderman Scott wants to create a transparent and competitive process by RFPing this property. To that end, the community's priorities have been spelled out here by workshopping this. So a big focus is on industrial jobs and the growth of accessible jobs for the local population, as well as the larger community impact of reinvigorating this formerly industrial site, given that we want to make sure it's a good neighbor given adjacent residential uses. So once again, similar to the Invest Southwest RFPs that were presented last month, the RFP is intended to serve as a development manual to show developers what is desired by the community and feasible with coordinated city incentives. Again, this is just a concept. It is taken from a framework plan in Detroit, so this will not be an image used in the RFP. It's just for illustration right now, but a lot of the concepts of this are very similar to what we're intending to show in the Roosevelt and Costner RFP, and we are working with architects from IIT to prepare material for the RFP. And with that, I'm glad to take any and all questions for this request to advertise and issue an RFP for the Roosevelt and Costner site.
Is Alderman Scott or a representative present? Mr. Lassiter?
I do not believe so. Alderman Scott was informed of this and has been very supportive of this, really the driver of this.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have questions? Okay.
This is Commissioner Butler. I do actually have a question. You know, I was born and raised in Detroit, so I'm quite familiar with Eastern Market, but perhaps other commissioners are not. And since the department has used the Eastern Market as a schematic, it might be helpful to spend just a few moments, you know, describing exactly what was on our screen for just a few seconds.
So I'll describe, there are three larger elements. I want to show the site in context first. This large former industrial site does have residential uses to the north, east, and south, as well as more industrial corridors extending further west. So in knowing that we wanted to reactivate this site or bring jobs again to this site, a couple elements that this concept did pretty well is that it really acknowledges how do you build modern industrial space, how do you deal with truck traffic, while still acknowledging that perhaps you want a more active frontage. If this were in theory Roosevelt, the southern extent of the site, that would be the kind of main place to put perhaps retail or any kind of more active use that's accessible to the community. And then how do you make sure that even though you have an industrial use, it interfaces well with pedestrians and with a residential community? So not saying anything about the massing, but again, that they're keeping parking kind of internal to the site and not overloading the community with trucking or parking issues are some of the takeaways from this concept. Did that answer your question?
Yes, no, absolutely. I just thought it would be helpful for the commissioners who are unfamiliar with and have not walked Eastern Market to have an idea of exactly what elements we were hoping to capture in this RFP and development project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Butler. Are there other questions by commissioners? If not, Mr. Lassiter, I have a few questions I'd like to pose.
Yes.
First of all, will the Clarius partners be allowed to respond to the RFP that is to be issued? Yes. They will be?
Yes. We have been in communication with them, and yes.
Okay. And that is in spite of the fact that they did not totally perform the first go around?
Yes, they are still allowed to. It's a completely open and competitive RFP.
Thank you. Under the development incentives, it is indicated that non-residential proposals are eligible for participation in the federal government's new market tax credit program. Is there consideration being given to retail or commercial development as a part of this proposed development?
Yes, we're certainly open to a mix of industrial and commercial and retail uses as desired, and know that new markets can go towards any three of those uses, although residential is not recommended, allowed, suggested, or proposed.
Okay. We have a total, I believe, of 25 actual parcels. Is there any consideration to be given to possibly dividing the site between one or more developers who might respond?
Yes, so we've been in conversation, because the Alderman has received numerous proposals at this point. An element of the RFP is how we intend to ask developers to partner with others or coordinate with others if they don't intend to use the full site, or if they believe only a portion of the site is what they're interested in.
Okay. One additional question I have, there is mention of, I believe it was 65 jobs that would be produced as a result of this project. Can you tell me if that is a combination of jobs that are presently held by the potential tenants of this project, or are these all new jobs?
I'm not familiar with that figure. Wondering where it came from. At a full build out for most industrial uses, it would likely be a lot higher than 65 jobs. But okay. I don't believe I've produced that number.
Okay. One last question. This project is supposed to return to the CDC. Is that correct? The selected proposal?
Someone with more experience with the CDC can correct me if I'm wrong. It would come back for any financial incentive ask or request. But right now, we're only requesting to release this RFP. Okay. But yes, I believe any further city action, yeah, we would come back to CDC for this.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no other questions by commission.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Cox. Just to put a kind of finer point on the issuance of RFPs, as in the Commission's meeting in August, where the Planning Department brought forth requests to release 3 RFPs for Inglewood, Austin, and Auburn Gresham. This authorization is in a similar vein, where we have a specific site, in this case, an industrial site that, as Ethan underscored, the alderman has received a number of requests, has had a challenge in trying to evaluate what is the highest and best use of an industrial site in a residential neighborhood, and has been working with the planning department to set a model for releasing RFPs for specific sites independent of kind of Invest Southwest framework. And the point that was of particular interest in this is, as it was illustrated by some of the site plans, the adjacency, the very near adjacency of residential buildings really necessitates a more creative planning of the site that acknowledges kind of sometimes spatial buffers and setbacks. I think, as was illustrated by the Detroit model. And in addition, there are plans for a possible greenway that dissects the site in 2. And so how any adjacent use, interfaces with a future greenway that has yet to be designed is another reason why there's a desire to put the site out for proposals. So it's a very unique site because it's going to be a job generator, and yet it has a public recreational, potentially a public recreational greenway passing through the middle of it, and it's directly across the street from homes. So you will hopefully see, if we're successful in soliciting proposals on this site, you may begin to see more applications or authorization of sites in various automatic wards. So this is a first for our department, and as I said, if it is successful and it may become a norm that allows both the alderman in partnership with the city to proactively solicit development proposals. I just thought I would add that context because I think this will be something that the commission continues to see more frequently from the planning department.
Thank you, Commissioner. For the record, please note that my prior question with regard to the specific number 65 for the job creation does not apply here, but my question should have been the estimated number of permanent jobs that would be created as a result of this project. Mr. Lasker.
Sure. Would you like an answer to that? Yeah, job density or the number of jobs certainly depend on the type of industrial or type of just build out of the site, the total square footage, the types of businesses created. But the calculations vary between about 200 in a total build out to 500 or 600 in a total build out. But it's very dependent on the exact build out and type of users in the end.
Thank you. The idea was to make it known that we weren't talking about just a few jobs as a result of this project, but numerous jobs.
Certainly, a number of jobs, and as referenced in the kind of community goals, the number of jobs. So all else being equal, a proposal that creates 500 jobs will do better in this evaluation than a proposal that creates 150 jobs.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of commissioners? If not, then I will call the item for a vote. The resolution before us requests authority for the Department of Planning and Development to advertise and issue a request for proposals for the purchase and redevelopment of 4300 West Roosevelt Road, 4301 West 5th Avenue, located in the Roosevelt Cicero Redevelopment Project Area, TIF, and to receive proposals for interested parties by December 15, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved. This is Curtis.
Moved by Commissioner Curtis. Do I have a second?
Second, Commissioner Davis.
Seconded by Commissioner Davis. At this time, I will call the roll, and if you will respond by saying yes or no or abstain. Secretary Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks. Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Griggs.
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodes.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Wheat. And Commissioner Newsom votes yes. The motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Lassiter and company. At this time, the next item on our agenda is the 79th Street Corridor TIF Development Project area, which is located in Ward 17. Okay. This is a request by the Department of Planning and Development for approval to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation, commonly known as GAGDC, for redevelopment of property located at 839 through 845 West 79th Street in the 79th Street Corridor Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of GAGDC as developer. Mr. William Grams will present the staff report on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development. Mr. Graham.
Good morning and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, commissioners. For the record, my name is William Grams, Financial Planning Analyst with the Department of Planning and Development. With me today, I have Chip Hastings from DPD and Carlos Nelson and Teresa Prem from the development team. They're here to answer any questions you may have about the project. The resolution before you today requests a recommendation to the City Council for the designation of the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation as the developer for the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyles Hub project, rehabilitating the vacant building at 839 to 845 West 79th Street, and the authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the developer. The proposed project is in the Auburn Gresham community area, the 17th Ward, and is within the 79th Street corridor TIF district. This district was established in 1998 to revitalize the corridor by concentrating commercial uses at main intersections. The project is located between South Green and South Peoria Street and 1 block from the 79th Street and Halstead intersection. Here's a closer view of the project site, and it's also right across the street from the RFP that the City of Chicago just released a couple weeks ago. And this slide shows the current condition of the building. The building dates back to 1926 and has been vacant for about 2 decades. The developer is proposing to redevelop the property into an approximately 50,000 square foot multi-tenant office building containing uses such as health and wellness services, community development services, and workforce development. The anchor tenant for the project will be a health clinic on the ground floor, and this has unlocked CBGB funds from the CARES Act. The total project cost is $15.7 million, and the TIF request is for $2.1 million. The development is expected to create 65 permanent jobs and 68 temporary construction jobs. Here's the site plan for the project. And here's a rendering of how the building will look once complete. The developer for the project is the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation, a local community organization providing community, economic development, housing and senior services, education initiatives, and youth development, health services, and community and family engagement. Carlos Nelson is the Chief Executive Officer, is in the meeting today, and will have a few comments at the conclusion of this presentation. As mentioned, the TIF request for this project is $2.1 million. In addition, the project is also receiving the Community Development Block Grant, as I mentioned, also new market tax credits, and it was also awarded the Chicago Prize from the Pritzker Traubert Foundation. The TIF will be structured as 2 cash payments of $1,050,000 each, funded from the 79th Street corridor area-wide increment. The first payment will be made upon the issuance of the certificate of completion, and the second payment will be made at the first anniversary of the certificate of completion. The proposed project will allow the following benefits to be realized. First, the project will revive a long vacant building along an Invest Southwest priority corridor. The anchor tenant for the project is UI Health, which will provide health services to low and moderate income clients. The project will generate 65 full-time jobs and 68 temporary construction jobs. We're very excited about this project as it should provide a great catalyst to kickstart the Invest Southwest development along the 79th Street corridor. DPD has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, the qualifications of the development team, the financial structure of the project and the project's conformance with the redevelopment area plan. And DPD recommends that the CDC recommend to the City Council the designation of Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation as the developer for the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyles Hub project. DPD also requests that the Commission provide DPD with the authority to negotiate, execute, and deliver on the city's behalf of a redevelopment agreement with the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation for the project. With that, I will allow Mr. Nelson a couple minutes to speak, and then I can take any questions about the project.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Good afternoon, commissioners. So I am Carlos Nelson with Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation. And of course, we do comprehensive community development services here in the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corp. And I'm excited to share a few remarks about what this proposed Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub development project represents. First, it represents rebirth and revitalization in a community in dire need of economic growth. It represents rebirth and revitalization of an almost 60,000 square foot, 4-story commercial building that has been vacant for more than 20 plus years, steps away from the busy intersection of 79th and Halsted. It represents equitable development highlighted by community ownership as the CDC is, or the local CDC is the developer for this project. And at the conclusion, this building will have more than 100 plus living wage jobs in this building in this priority Invest Southwest corridor. And it's also in a TOD footprint. It represents access.
Sorry, we have lost contact.
Oh, can you hear me?
We're losing contact with you. Would you please?
Oh, geez.
It's okay.
Okay.
You hear him?
Okay.
Yes, I can hear him as well. This is
all right.
Perfectly.
Okay. Well, all right, I'll keep plowing through then. It represents access to full service healthcare, healthy living, and healthy lifestyles. This catalytic development project infuses hope, light, healthcare, and an economic injection to Auburn Gresham. It will be anchored by a full service health and wellness center, providing much needed healthcare, health education, oral health, and mental health services to a health desert, where the very first COVID-19 death or COVID-19 related death in the state of Illinois occurred, and where the disease has had a disproportionate impact. The building will house a pharmacy, additionally imaging services like radiology. It will also have a sit-down restaurant with vegan and vegetarian options, a green renewable roof, and digital community center for top-rated tutoring. We'll also house the GAGDC offices and other neighborhood network partners providing workforce development projects. You know, I like to think of this as a movement. And so if you can visualize the calendar year 2021, here in Auburn Gresham, the skies will be lit up with cranes and earth movers as 3 large capital projects, all within a 3.5 block radius, will be under construction. The new metro station, the Auburn Park Metro Station, the Green Era Renewable Energy and Urban Farming Campus, and of course, this Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub. And hopefully, the RFP across the street will generate positive respondents, and we'll have a development there across from the 839 Healthy Lifestyle Hub. So the future is bright for Auburn Gresham. We are here proclaiming, yes, there is hope being instilled, and there are resources coming with projects that spur continued economic development and represent true sustainable development. I just want to thank Mayor Lightfoot and Commissioner Cox, and I want to thank Alderman David Moore, and I also want to thank former Alderman Thomas. Now is the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. At this time, I'm going to ask if Alderman David Moore or his representative is available for comment.
This is Alderman Moore.
Good
I'm doing well. Carlos, give us a breakdown of the 65 permanent jobs. Like how many for UIC, how many for the other company? What's that breakdown of the 65?
Let me see if I can pull that exact number. So of course the medical center will generate the new jobs to the community. And I don't have the variety of jobs.
It don't have to be the variety, just so how many, somebody said 65 permanent jobs at the outset. What makes up, so that 65 number had to come from somewhere. Is it all 65 coming from the medical?
No, so you have the medical center which will make up about 50 of those jobs. We also have workforce development companies that I hesitate to name them specifically, but those organizations will also have about 10 to 15 new jobs. Then you have the GAGDC and the neighborhood network partners that will also have about 20 or 25 to 35 full-time jobs. And we're describing these as
those are not new, are those new jobs?
No, those won't be new jobs. Those will be
okay,
jobs.
I'm just interested in this. I'm just interested in the new.
Yeah, so primarily
so it's only 65 new, and that 65 new is 50 medical and 10 to 15 from the workforce development?
Right, exactly. And of course, the sit-down restaurant will be, more entry-level positions and a couple of, management roles that'll be moving to this community as they do not serve west of the Dan Ryan to this point.
Thank you.
Just one point of clarification. There are also new jobs being generated by Mickey's, the restaurant, as well as Broadway Pharmacy.
Okay, so thank you. So we need to get that number correct then. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, and I believe the staff has the breakout, and so we can provide it to you, Alderman, afterwards as well.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Moore, and thank you, Carlos Nelson, for your remarks. And thank you for clarifying that job number. Commissioners, do you have questions for Mr. Grams with regard to this project?
Commissioner Thomas, my question is about, it's a couple of things, but it's surrounding parking. I think I saw 36 parking spots, is that correct?
That is correct, 36 on the site plan, correct.
Okay, so I guess we're looking at quite a few folks that will just be walking up, because you have, it sounds like you're gonna have 65 to 80 people in that building at any given time, right?
Likely, yes. So yeah, parking will definitely be a premium. We have been in communications with Leo High School. They've agreed to allow for their surface parking lot directly, you know where that is, directly across the street, to be used for occupants of the building as well.
Okay.
As their lot is not, at full capacity generally.
Okay. That's probably a good idea. So I know this may change a little bit, but okay, we did hear that the medical center will be on the first floor. I'm assuming the restaurant will be on the first floor?
That's correct.
And so then I heard about labs and x-ray will be on a different floor, or the same on the first floor?
Likely the first floor as well.
Okay, so you still have 3 floors for what?
Right, Teresa, I don't know if you're still on, but so first floor, we're looking at the pharmacy, we're looking at the restaurant, we're looking at the imaging services as well. We're also looking at the a community space that will house up to 50 occupants at one time. The second floor will be fully the health center. half of the third floor right now is for workforce development. We're looking, and I guess I can share, we do have an LOI with Heartland Alliance as one of the CHA's subs, as well as a second workforce development agency who's not yet signed the LOI, is looking to take the additional second half of the third floor. And then the fourth floor will be all community space for GAGDC, as well as neighborhood network partners that will cohabitate in that space. And then one of our elected official partners is also looking at fourth floor space.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any additional questions from commissioners?
This is Commissioner Griggs. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that the contracting team that was selected for the project is a majority firm, and understanding that you're working in a predominantly African-American community. Could you kind of give us the history of how you came to select that contractor, and if you talked to any of the many African-American contractors that are here in Chicago?
Absolutely, Commissioner. It's an excellent question. And if you know anything about our community and our ward, we are definitely focused on not just a 40–50% African-American representation, but we're looking to eclipse that. The general contractor has a relationship with Leo High School, a long-standing relationship. His father went to Leo. Their family grew up in the Auburn Gresham community, and they are actually waiving their fees. And so they will be subbing to a well-known African-American contractor, Ujama, who will not only handle all of the interior work, but likely much of the exterior, the envelope work as well. We're also looking at an African-American roofing contractor. And so they've agreed, Morgan Harbor, as I mentioned, to not only, look at this 40–50% mark, but we're looking to exceed that. So that's how Morgan Harbor came into play.
Other questions by commissioners?
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to mention also that Ujama, the CEO and president, is a resident in the community.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Thomas. For the record, Mr. Nelson, I'd like to ask that you please identify the young lady referred to as Teresa.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Teresa Prim is the development consultant for the Auburn Gresham Healthy Lifestyle Hub.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Prim.
You're welcome, Ms. Newsom.
Okay.
Madam Chairman.
Madam Chair. No, Commissioner Cox. I don't have a question because I've followed this journey from the beginning of my tenure here, and the Greater Auburn Gresham CDC had a vision that laid out the recovery of one of these iconic neighborhood buildings, and I would argue that they, in some ways, helped me understand what we were trying to do on Invest Southwest, because they started with an asset which they own. So that became one of the pillars of the Invest Southwest. Can we, support local wealth creation? And then was interesting, out of all the things they could put in that building, they didn't do, senior housing. They didn't do any kind of housing. They are basically doing a mixed-use office building. And to think about the idea of having office building that caters to workforce development, medical opportunities for public health, and to have a pharmacy that is African-American owned and a vegan restaurant. I mean, this is, you can't make this stuff up. This is magical. This is the type of economic development that the city really thinks is the exemplar of what Invest Southwest is trying to achieve. We feel so strongly about what they're doing that we decided to RFP our publicly held property right across the street from them. So you can see we are going to build from their success, and that investment, and I would argue, $2.1 million to get a $15.7 million development going is an enormous leveraging of the public dollars. I wish all of the projects we look at would have that kind of return. I would also argue that you're also seeing the complexity of that capital stack of how many sources are needed to make a project like this happen. But I just want to thank Carlos for bringing an example right out the gate of what Invest Southwest is trying to do. And so it's not by chance that you found in last month that when we went into Inglewood, where did we go? We went to the iconic firehouse. So adaptive reuse first. And then we went to Chicago Avenue in Austin. Where did we go? The Laramie Bank. Many ways, the Great Auburn Gresham CDC really set the stage that you adapt these beautiful buildings in our neighborhoods first, and then you co-locate new development around them so that you get a synergy. So I really value the support of the commissioners in holding up this example of what clustered neighborhood revitalization looks like. It's really just a wonderful, wonderful project, and I can't wait to have my first vegan meal in that restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Are there other questions?
Yes, this is Commissioner Butler, Commissioner Newsom. This question is either for the department or for Mr. Nelson. And first of all, Mr. Nelson, congratulations on a really extraordinary redevelopment. Looking at the capital stack and really kind of the overall sources and uses for the project, I noticed that the contingency, both on hard costs and soft costs, total approximately 6% of the overall budget. And I'm just curious regarding that contingency. Oftentimes, when you get into adaptive reuse of buildings that have been vacant for some time and have some age on them, you can run into things that you just didn't know were there that need to be dealt with once you open up the walls. And I'm wondering if, how you feel about an approximate 6% contingency, particularly the 4% on hard costs, whether or not how comfortable you are with that number, and to the extent there are cost overruns, how they would be handled.
No, just for clarification, there's a 10% construction contingency.
Please identify yourself, Ms. Prim.
I'm sorry, this is Teresa Prim. And there is a 10% construction contingency in the transaction.
Okay, I'm looking at page 4 of the information that was provided to the commissioners under section 4, the financial structure.
Okay, I'm not sure, but you should know that on our overall budget, the contingency is 10% of construction hard costs.
All right, and construction hard costs are $7.4 million. Is that correct?
No, well, let's see. It's yes. It's yes. I'm wondering if something else is loaded in there, but that's approximately correct.
Well, I'm just looking at, once again, the schedule that was given to,
okay,
and also what's on our screen. So
yes, that's correct. That is correct.
And how does this approximate 10% hard cost contingency, compare to what?
It's 600 Inside of that number is the performance and payment bond. I know sometimes that's moved below, but I believe in that hard cost number is the performance and payment bond, and then there's some remediation. So the actual contingency number is, I have to get in front of me, I think $600 and some thousand is being held for actual construction contingency.
Yes, and that's it's approximately, according to the information that we were provided on the construction costs and the site work, the hard costs are approximately half of, as we can see, of the project. Now, how are you feeling about the adequacy of that $600,000, approximate $600,000 contingency on construction?
Well,
and then the second part of that question is, to the extent the contingency is exceeded, what's the backup in terms of handling construction cost overruns that exceed the contingency?
So the good thing is that, as you heard, this project is the recipient of the Chicago Prize. And so there are additional dollars that, that we're holding for other costs, additional costs that may come up. And as we move towards getting a building permit, that final CD set and permit, sometimes there are issues that come up during that process. So we are going to allocate additional dollars from the prize as necessary to meet any project shortage. We do have those dollars available.
And what is the excess that's being held in reserve from the Chicago Prize that could be?
Right now it's roughly
cost overruns.
Right now it's roughly 400,000. Again, we have some additional construction related costs that we do anticipate as we move towards the final CD construction set and submission for building permit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chairman.
Additional questions, Commissioner Curtis?
Yes, I was just looking at the sources statement, and I see that of the 15.7 million project, equity is only 132,000, less than 1%. And I'm just wondering if this department can help us get just a little bit more comfortable with a less than 1% equity stake in the project.
Can I make one clarification that I think that the way it's depicted here, that the prize is grant dollars and would in fact should be considered equity.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
This is Teresa Prim. And I'm saying that the prize dollars are grant dollars and could in fact be considered equity.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? Did I see Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. It's the Chicago Prize. First off, let me just say congratulations to Carlos again and the Alderman. I know that Carlos has been working on this for quite some time. Is the Chicago Prize dollars more than the 3.5? I thought I heard a $4 million, an additional $4 million of Chicago Prize dollars that can be used in contingency.
Yeah, yes.
That's correct.
Teresa's still there, but so yeah, the Chicago Prize is a $10 million grant that's coming to GEGDC, and so we're allocating $4 million or so for this project, and then our sister project, we're also providing resources to the anaerobic digester, as you know, and then also have resources set aside for future planning and future development work of more than $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess what, I don't know what Commissioner Butler's question was leading to, but when she started asking the question, I was wondering if You get into the building, like she said, and then there's cost overruns if you're going to be coming back to us for more TIF money, or if you had contingency, because I don't see 10% contingency on this project, if you had contingency somewhere else. And I thought I heard the answer to be that you would use you had at least another $4 million in Chicago Prize dollars that could be used as contingency on this project.
No, there's an additional 400,000. We're allocating 3.9 million of the prize towards this project.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Teresa Prim is speaking, and I'm saying we're allocating roughly 3.9 million from the prize towards the 839 project. So I was saying, you're seeing here 3.5 million or a little more. So we still have some additional dollars as we move forward the project to deal with contingencies and anything else that might come up when we submit for a building permit.
And so this is Commissioner Butler again. Ms. Prim has indicated that there are approximately $400,000 available once the building permission, when you go to permitting. I'm curious about, as you get into construction, how you might handle cost overruns related to the actual construction process. Kind of worst case scenario, is there additional monies beyond the $400,000, which could be used during the permitting process to address concerns raised by that process? Are there additional dollars available in the capital stack that could be used to handle any construction, actual construction cost overruns once you get into the building process?
This is Teresa speaking. Are you saying if we were to go over more than $500,000?
Yes, once you get into the actual construction of the project, I'm just trying to ascertain the reserves that are available once you begin construction to handle potential cost overruns.
So above and beyond the 400,000, which I want to say that the project has, we've received cost estimate at 2 different phases before we even got to this point. And the next phase, which is normal, is that we will be getting additional cost estimates on once we get that final CD set for building permit. So we feel pretty comfortable with the cost estimates now, and the building is vacant and we're able to do exploratory work, preliminary excavation to sort of get at some of the potentials that might come up in a renovation project of this scale. So I just want to make the point that I think the team has done a pretty good job on cost estimating at this point, as well as evaluating site condition. But again, if there were for some reason that there was a need for additional capital, we would pivot to other kinds of resources, the prize still being one potential option, as well as state resources that have been allocated for this project, which Carlos can speak to.
Yeah, terrific. And this is Commissioner Butler again, just to understand the nature of my questions. I'm sure that extraordinary work has been done in scoping out this project over quite an extended period of time. So my questions aren't questioning any of that work. It's simply just trying to figure out if there's increase in labor costs, increase in raw material costs, extended construction process because of weather-related delays. What's the ability of the capital stack to withstand those additional costs? And are there monies in reserve or other, sources of capital that could be tapped in order to make sure this project gets completed?
Yes. Great questions. And as Teresa Prim mentioned, this budget does not reflect some additional funds that would be available from the state as well, to the tune of $500,000 initially, and subsequent to, of course, marijuana and gaming industry, another $2.4 million. It's allocated as priority out of Senator Jacqueline Collins' budget.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Absolutely.
Are there any additional questions from commissioners?
Yes, Commissioner. This is Adela Cepeda.
Commissioner Cepeda?
But I want to understand, is it that this is a below average reserve?
I'm sorry, who's your question to, Commissioner?
Well, I don't know. I could ask you since you raised it. What is the normal reserve for something with this much capital? You know, such a large portion for capital construction.
I'm not sure if I can answer what's normal, and my concern is not necessarily related to the capital stack per se, but the nature of the work that needs to be done, given the age and the condition of the building.
For a rehab.
Yes, and given the age and condition of the building. So I would, you know, if you're asking me my opinion, I would say 10% contingency, in my opinion, is light for, you know, particularly given, you know, increased labor costs, shortage of labor, you know, difficulty with the volatility in raw material prices, et cetera, given the environment that we're in. So that's just my opinion.
Madam Chair?
I mean, this is Commissioner Cox speaking. I mean, obviously we are, you know, touching on one of the challenges of having a predictable budget when you are doing adaptive reuse and retrofitting of existing buildings. There's just this unknown component. And so it's much easier to calculate the reserve that you need for new construction. But when you are dealing with an adaptive reuse, there's this element of unknown or a leap of faith. I see, I don't know if Chip Hastings and his incentives team who calculated the TIF need here would like to speak to it. But I will say that, you know, there's a level of risk that we are going to have to become more comfortable with as a result of trying to work on existing buildings. And we ran into a similar challenge of trying to understand the cost for the Laramie Bank renovation. You know, once again, the adaptive reuse requires, you know, a certain, there's a certain unknown. I will say not many projects come with a Chicago Prize Foundation dollars attached to it. And so, you know, it very well be, I would imagine that if there are unforeseen costs, what they're describing is they do have the capacity to pull from that $10 million prize and apply it to this particular development initiative, being that I think it's going to be the first out the gate. But Chip Hastings, if you want to add anything to that, and the issues that are being raised are well, you know, well-founded because of the, you know, unforeseen things that might emerge in an adaptive reuse project.
If I could, Commissioner Cox, this is Terrence Johnson, Assistant Commissioner within DPD. One of the things that got us comfort as we underwrote the deal was the fact, as mentioned on this presentation a couple of times, Carlos and his team have been working on this project for quite some time and working with DPD on this project for quite some time. And a lot of that work was truly firming up that budget, you know, working with Morgan Harbor, working with Ujamaa in terms of really honing in on those budget numbers. So from our perspective, the 10% contingency seemed like a reasonable number given the amount of work that went into the estimating and walking through the project as well.
So Chip Hastings here, Madam Chair, if I might. I was just going to jump in a couple minutes ago. One of the commissioner's questions. We typically on a project such as this would see a contingency right around 5% or so, give or take a percentage. 10% definitely on the high end. And to the point that I think both the Commissioner Terrence and prior to them, Teresa made a little while ago, is that the building has been in possession of GAGDC for some time. So they've had ample opportunity to get into the building, do their due diligence. We're comfortable with the budget. It's been underwritten by the construction company as well as folks on our end. We're satisfied that the due diligence is sufficient and that the numbers will bear out. And I think Teresa mentioned that they do have a bit of flexibility in the case of an outlier event in the form of the Chicago Prize, the flexibility of the funds related to the Chicago Prize.
And this is Commissioner Butler. If I can just put a point on this, and we can, since I raised the issue, we can move on. Once again, my questions are not related to the amount of work that's been done or the due diligence. Simply, if there are cost overruns, is there, given the fact that we're dealing with a community development corporation that has limited funds available to it, I just wanted to ask the question, if there were cost overruns, essentially who would be asked to absorb those cost overruns, and if there was capital available that's not evident in the sources and uses that have been provided to us as part of this presentation that could be used to absorb those additional costs, if any.
Are there other questions or comments?
Yes. Eileen, I have a question for Carlos. I'm wondering how much of the tenant build out is covered in these construction numbers. Are you giving these different not-for-profit and low profit entities a full build out, or are they coming with other resources to build out their spaces?
Yeah, so with the other not-for-profits, we're generally looking at like a $35 a square foot build out allowance. So we're supporting some of their build out, but most of their build out will be cumbered upon by those organizations. And in the case of the health center, we are providing much more assistance as it relates to building out the health center.
That the health center is like $118 a square foot, and we're thankful to be able to do that because of the CDBG CARES dollars.
And what about the restaurant?
It's the $35 a square foot.
Are there additional questions of commissioners?
Yes, Alderman Moore, my last question, and it was based on around the contingency thing. I think my only concern would be, and especially since DPD said they really pressed on the construction costs and really narrowed those costs down. There's no asbestos in that building, correct?
There is asbestos in the tile, and the asbestos abatement fee is included in the budget, and that was obtained by a bid. So that's the figure that's in the budget.
Okay, so that's already taken into account, right?
That's already in the budget.
And that's all I'm worried about. And with that said, I really appreciate the commissioners, DPD, everybody working on this. And I would, like the federal consideration of this committee on this project, because it is definitely much needed as a anchor here in the 17th ward. And with that said, as we work on bidding across the street, I think one of the things that Alderman Natasha brought up, and one of the things that I've spoken about, is that as we're doing that building across the street, we want to make sure that parking issue is taken into consideration, because we don't want that to be an issue just down the road. So as we do the development and the bidding on that other project as well, we want to make sure we get some parking in there as well. So I just, with that said, I would like the full support of this committee on this project.
Thank you, Alderman. If there are no additional questions or comments by commissioners, then I would like to call this item for a vote. The resolution before us requests authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation, GAGDC, for redevelopment of the property located at 839 to 845 West 79th Street in the 79th Street corridor, tax increment financing redevelopment project area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of GAGDC as developer. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Commissioner Butler.
Moved by Commissioner Thomas.
Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Butler. I will call the roll. At this point, please respond, commissioners, by saying yes. Secretary Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks, Commissioner Buford.
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis.
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Griggs.
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodes.
Yes.
No. Commissioner Thomas.
Thomas, yes.
Commissioner Wheat. Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we will move to the next item of business for today. We are being requested by the Department of Housing for authority to enter into a modified families redevelopment agreement with L&MC Investments LLC for the disposition of 1138 and 1142 North Christiana Avenue in the Division Holman TIF redevelopment area to request alternative proposals, and if no responsive alternative proposals are received, to approve the sale of the property to L&MC Investments LLC or a related entity. Brian O'Donnell will give the staff report on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Madam Chair, this is tech support. I think you're logged in on 2 devices, so we're getting echo.
Okay, I will log off on one.
Shall I proceed?
Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, Vice Chair Newsom and members of the CDC. For the record, my name is Brian O'Donnell, and that's Brian with an I, representing the Homeownership Bureau of the Department of Housing. Also present online today are Luis Castro, developer and principal of L&MC Investments, LLC, and Jim Wheaton, the executive director of the Chicago Community Land Trust. The Department of Housing is here today requesting your approval to sell 2 parcels of land, part of a larger affordable for sale development, to L&MC Investments, LLC, under a modified City Lots for Working Families program. Major program points are on the lower half of the current slide. The City Lots for Working Families program allows the city to sell from 8 to 20 lots to developers for $1 each to encourage the construction of affordable for sale housing. Alderman Maldonado of the 26th Ward is present online today should you wish to hear his thoughts on this development. If approved, the sale of these 2 lots and the Division Home and TIF would make possible the construction of 2 affordable single-family homes and would add vacant land back to the tax roll. The sale would also help meet the goals of the Division Home and Redevelopment Project area to promote the rehabilitation of existing structures and new construction where appropriate throughout the redevelopment project area, promote affordable and mixed income rental and for sale residential development, and reduce or eliminate those conditions that qualify the redevelopment project area as a conservation area. Located on the west side of Chicago, 4 miles northwest of the Loop, the Humboldt Park neighborhood has the following general boundaries. On the north, Bloomingdale Avenue; on the south, Kinsey Street; on the west, Kenton Avenue; and on the east, Rockwell Street. The population in Humboldt Park is about 56,000, down from a peak of over 80,000 in 1930 and lower than the approximately 65,000 residing there in the year 2000. The current estimated median income is $38,593. The approximate current demographics are Hispanic, 48%, Black, 47.4%, White, 3.3%, Asian, 0.4%, and other, 0.9%. There have been 58 new construction building permits issued over the last 5 years in Humboldt Park for 1 or 2 unit buildings, building types which make up about 55.4% of the housing stock in Humboldt Park. The average sale price of the 148 homes sold in Humboldt Park over the 12 months ending July 31st, 2020 was $316,662. The median sale price over that same period was $267,000. This slide shows an aerial photo of the parcels on Christiana in the Division Home and TIF on the lower right, circled in yellow to the right of the green arrow. This slide shows the 2 lots under consideration here today. 1138 and 1142 North Christiana are the lots in the Division Home and TIF. The house on the right was built by LNMC Investments and sold in 2017. A different model will be built under this authorization. We'll do a quick review of the lots not in the TIF. There are 2 on the different blocks of Lemoyne, on the 3300 and 3700 block of Lemoyne, the 1700 block of North Monticello, and the 2300 block of West Erie. This site will hold 6 homes. It was formerly a firehouse and a ward garage. The west end of the parcel requires environmental remediation, including enrollment in the Illinois EPA site remediation program. The city is providing no direct assistance for the required remediation. The appraised values of all the lots are on page 5 of your staff report. The values of 2 of the lots, neither of which are in the Division Home and TIF, will require DOH to seek exemptions from some of the program guidelines of the City Lots for Working Families program when an ordinance is introduced. These proposed program exemptions can also be found on page 5 of the staff report. All of the homes will have a front facade of modular brick with a 4-foot wrap and a 2-story structural bay wrapped in cedar siding. The remainder of the building will be finished in hardy board or an equivalent product. Each 2-story house will be about 1,800 square feet over a 900 square foot unfinished basement and will come with a detached 2-car garage on the Erie site. The other scattered parcels will come with a parking pad. Each home will have 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms. The 3 bedrooms will be on the 2nd floor, family living space on the 1st floor over an unfinished basement. The entire project is expected to cost about $2.7 million. The homes will sell for $299,000. which will bring revenue to approximately $3,299. All homes will be placed into the Chicago Community Land Trust. The last exhibit in your staff report has 4 pages of frequently asked questions about the CCLT. Home buyers will be selected via a lottery held by the Department of Housing. Requiring that the homes be placed in the CCLT guarantees at least 30 years of affordability for any resales. Jim Wheaton, currently the Executive Director of the Chicago Community Land Trust, is present online today should you have any questions about the Land Trust. If all goes well here today and in 9 days at Plan Commission, this is the schedule for moving through the legislative and then legislative process and then starting construction. The Department of Housing has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, the qualifications of the developer, the financial structures of the project, the need for public assistance, its public benefits, and the project's conformance with the redevelopment area plan. And DOH recommends that the CDC approve the sale of the designated parcels to LNMC Investments LLC or to a related entity for the development of affordable single-family homes. This concludes the formal presentation.
Thank you, Ryan. Alderman Maldonado, I know you were present earlier. Is he still available or a representative from the Alderman's office?
I see him here.
I'm here. Thank you, Madam Chairman, for allowing me to speak on behalf of this development, proposed development. This is a long time coming. We've been working on this for the last, this second phase for the last, I would say almost 4 years. And so the site for this proposed development is in the heart of the 26th ward, even though they are dispersed throughout the ward. But as you know, the 26th ward is one of the wards in the city of Chicago that is under lots of pressure of gentrification. And so to be able to offer for sale affordable single homes for $299,000 to selected families through middle class families, it will go a long way to try to preserve and try to slow down the push of gentrification, of pushing out our community out of Humboldt Park. Now, we so hard over the more than a generation, we have fought so hard to make it so attractive, and now finding ourselves at the verge of being displaced as the result of gentrification. So I hope that we get full support from the commission, and I hope that we can move forward as fast as we can so that we can come back with the third phase of this similar type of development. We have under 20 lots in the city of Chicago, in the 26th ward, and after this few lots that are going to be built, it will bring us maybe to about 12 lots. And so time is of the essence. We don't have a lot of time because gentrification does not wait until families can afford to buy in the community that they establish roots. And we are simply are pushed out. And I hope that the bureaucracy of the city of Chicago does not keep putting stumble blocks at projects like the one that you are here witnessing. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have. If not, I hope to, I will wait for the vote by the commission.
Thank you, Alderman. Commissioners, do you have questions? Any commissioner?
Madam Chairman, this is Commissioner Thomas. For today, we're only considering 6 lots, correct?
No, only 2, 1138 North Christiana and 1142
Okay.
North Christiana.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are the 2 that are within the TIF eligible area.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for commissioners? If not, I have one question. These are infill lots. Can you share with me the makeup of the housing on the remainder streetscape?
It varies greatly because it's spread so widely throughout the ward. I can tell you it's quite a mix. You're looking at pictures now. This is Lemoyne. There's some gray stones. There's some red brick 2 flats. On the Erie site, if you look at the top of this picture, you can see to the left of the 6 zone plans, there are very expensive homes. So it runs the gamut.
Let's see.
Can you show the Christina sites again?
Christiana.
Christiana.
Can you pull those up, please?
They're showing now on my screen.
Okay. Well, not having that luck on mine, but go ahead. Commissioner Butler, you had questions?
I see them. I just,
see them?
Yes, I see them. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question, Commissioner Newsom. This is Commissioner Cepeda and Alderman Maldonado. Given, you know, how long this community has been pushed out of various parts of Chicago, I assume there's strong support for this development in your area.
Well, Alderman Maldonado, yes, absolutely. I mean, in fact, I have conducted several polls over the last 3 years, and we have over 67% of the residents of the 26th ward that they support the expansion and construction of affordable housing. So regardless who they are, regardless of the racial and demographic backgrounds, they feel the pinch that they were being pushed out. And I think that this is a perfect way that the city of Chicago can promote affordable housing for sale using vacant lots owned by the city of Chicago, like the ones that you are looking at. And by the way, the house to the north of that lot is one of the developments of the new homes for city living that Mr. Castro developed.
Thank you, Alderman. I know you've done a lot of work in this area.
Are there any additional questions of commissioners? If not, I will call the item for a vote. The resolution.
I'd like to move that. I'd like to move for the approval.
Okay, may I read the statement first, please?
Okay.
The resolution before us requests authority for the Department of Housing to negotiate and enter into a redevelopment agreement with L&MC Investments LLC or a related entity for the disposition of 1138 and 1142 North Christiana Avenue, located in the Division Home and TIF redevelopment project area, to advertise for and request alternative proposals, and if no responsive alternative proposals are received, to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm reading.
Yes, this is Bob McKenna. This should be L&MC Investments LLC.
Yes. Okay, as the developer, do I have a motion?
I move it. Commissioner Cepeda.
Second, Commissioner Butler.
Okay, Commissioner Butler. At this time, I will call for a vote. If you will say yes or no. Secretary Butler?
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks? Commissioner Buford?
Yes.
Commissioner Cepeda?
Yes.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Curtis?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Griggs? Commissioner Griggs? Commissioner Rhodes?
Yes. Commissioner
Thomas?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you. Thank you, Alderman Maldonado.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, for your patience in the conduct of this meeting. And at this time, I would like to request a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Yes, so moved, Commissioner Butler.
Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Curtis.
At this time, all in favor may signify by saying
aye.
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 or opposed may say no. Motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.